The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or agreed upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Manawan Avenue Central School District Board of Education advertised this meeting on April 24th, 2025 in the Asbury Park Press. These notices were sent to the municipal clerks of the Borough of Manawan, the Township of Aberdeen, and the Manawan Aberdeen Public Library. These notices were also placed on the district's website. Can we please stand for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Bowley?
Here.
Ms. Vilas?
Here.
Mr. McGovern?
Here.
Mr. Montone?
Here.
Ms. Pell?
Here.
Ms. Scott?
Here.
Ms. Burrow?
Here.
Ms. Martinez?
Here.
Ms. Warren? Here. Be it resolved that a closed session be convened for the purpose of discussing privacy, personnel, and legal services. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. Although the board cannot guarantee it, the length of the executive session is estimated to be 30 to 40 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business. Action will take place. Can I have a motion and a second for executive session?
I'll motion. I'll second.
Okay, we're ready to get started. Welcome to the April 24th meeting of the Manawan Aberdeen Regional School District Board. Can I have a motion and a second to accept correspondence to the board?
I'll motion. I'll second.
Thank you. We have a superintendent's report, Ms. Perez.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed their break. Now the countdown, I believe, was posted around school, and kids are counting the days. But it is a countdown to a lot of wonderful celebrations as we close out the year. Yesterday, we kicked off the celebrations with NHS 2025 induction, and today is prom and Jock's catering until 10. So you guys receive videos and we're having a lovely time. I would like to share, some important information in regards to safety arriving to and from school. Unfortunately, we had a recent incident where the student was hit by a car. Thankfully, the student is okay and he was wearing his helmet. We've been collaborating with Aberdeen PD, and we do not have all the details of the situation since it is still under the investigation of the Aberdeen Police. As soon as I receive additional information in terms of increasing the safety or visibility or anything like that, I'll be able to share that with the board. But again, we don't have any additional details other than we reached out to the mom. Okay. We do feel it's important to remind families and kids and at each of the buildings and newsletters to make sure now that it's nice weather that they're wearing helmets. We do see, we talk about it a lot, is not wearing helmets. And making sure that students who are walking, that they are adhering to traffic signs, following guidance on crossing guards, etc. So we want the kids and families as well as that. We do, been in constant, the last 2 days, in contact with communication with Aberdeen Chief Boyd. So we'll continue to work with the towns in terms of assessing those areas, and we also plan to have something on safety for students take over the week. We do realize that there was a lot of chatter on social media in regards to some misinformation. So as much as possible, we'll clarify that this evening. And also, obviously, if any parents or members want to reach out to me, we'll discuss it.
funding formula. That's the part of that's the state's calculation for how much the state is going to give districts based on districts' needs and their own ability to pay. I went there with basically one focus, which was transportation. Currently, the state does not, in that formula, does not consider the hazardous routes in your town when they determine how much funding they're giving you, even the transportation funding. And so I went and represented us because in our tiny district, we have Route 34, Route 35, New Jersey Transit, Jersey Coastline, and the Garden State Parkway running right through the middle of them. And so I spoke on behalf of the board about we really host the roots of economic development in central New Jersey right through us, and we don't get a dime for helping our students cross those very, very busy routes. That didn't really play out as extra money this year, but this is a long time coming conversation. And so just as one board member, not speaking on behalf of the board at this point, but I encourage you all, in addition to everything you do, and I'm glad you all are here tonight, please speak to your legislator. We have multiple covering the district, but Senator Declan Scanlon, Assemblywoman Vicki Flynn, Senator Robert Clifton, and if you need any help, I mean, people, some of these folks know me, so just like reach out and we can figure out who it is, but as well as Senator Gopal chairs the Senate's Education Committee, and they're closely involved with budgeting and the school funding formula, to say that, hey, maybe at this point, at this juncture, the state should start considering that all those State Route 35, State Route 34, et cetera, really does impact the community. Because it is we all know it's very difficult. I still live in Clifton Beach. It's very difficult. And that's not the only area of town where you take a breath when you let your kids go out. So yeah, some of my fellow board members can acknowledge. So I guess that's really, at this point, yeah, so the call to action is to please help us and advocate on behalf of our district to the state to reconsider the way that they figure out funding on something as fundamental as getting our kids safe to school.
Thank you, Ms. Long. And I know there's some future things coming up on this now, or we'll wait until the yeah.
I just, I remember we talked about last year, before that we needed crossing guards and the town said that it was already their budget was made. How is, at what point, when is the window open for us to be able to bring that up and or remind them, or is that past budget, or bring it up to managers to say, and I know the budget will be approved and not already done by now. Are we able to ask about that? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I was just saying that, remember last year, we wanted to add, crossing guards in 34, but the budget's already made. So now that the budgets were in for a new year, maybe we can talk to the liaisons.
We can definitely have the conversation, not one already approved their budget, so it would probably be for next year. I mean, we can have the discussion, definitely. Just trying to plan a meeting as is, so we can definitely bring that up.
I'd appreciate it, because we talked it last year. I don't know, maybe they already included it because they know it's a concern. But maybe, Mr. McGovern, you can also bring that up to your liaison for Aberdeen. All right, thanks, Matt.
That's a good segue into, I was going to have Mrs. Scully and Mr. McGovern give their updates with the town liaisons.
Sure. So I'm the Madawan Town Liaison. I did speak to Ms. Gunn, gave her an update, but I apologize. I had no idea that the county approved their budget, so I told her it was not happened to my ears this morning. Okay. Took me by surprise. So I told her we were still working on that, that the budget meeting for us, the public hearing of the budget, had moved to May 5th. And their budget, she did tell me their budget was approved. The presentation is actually on the borough website, so if you want to take a look at that, it is there. And then we talked about having a meeting in the near future, between the liaisons, the towns, and leadership.
Similar to what Mrs. Williams said, covered the same topics. Also updated them on how the last community meeting went, what we spoke about, what the feedback from the community was with regards to being in consideration with future government pilot money, and also advising about the intent of the upcoming meeting, what we wanted to discuss, and share information on. Very receptive, very open to it, say, take it back to the town council, let them know that we're trying to set up a meeting, and then also just, ask that we keep in touch with how our budget is progressing. So,
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Moving on, personnel agenda, Mr. Lieber.
Thank you. Good evening. We are recommending to the board to approve item A, resignation as listed, item D, number 1, hand report for the previous meeting showing 0, and item 2, administrative fees with pay, both as listed. That concludes personnel.
Can I have a motion and a second to accept?
Motion. I'll second.
Any questions? Okay. Seeing none. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on matters of interest to the school community. Individuals wishing to speak must state their name and municipality of residence. Comments are limited to a 3-minute duration, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. All statements should be directed to the board president, and no participant may address or question board members individually. All speakers are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others whose legal rights may be affected. Please note, while it is not the board's intention to stifle comment on matters of legitimate concern, the public should be aware that if their statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, they may face personal liability to the injured party. If speakers are uncertain of the legal ramifications of their comments, the board urges them to seek guidance beforehand from their legal advisor.
I'm not sure if I'd be able to pass it around or someone that take it from me. I have labeled the folders. Where also the questions that we'll be going over, we'll also have it for you later. And I put them in order during your executive session. Thank you so much, Mr. Weeman. Mariana Weeman, 101. I will be advocating on behalf of my son who attends Strasbourg Elementary and in part on behalf of the entire third-grade class of 24. I have 3 major issues or concerns: original teachers leave, replacement, the hiring process, communication by Strasbourg administration, accountability, school lunch. My son is third teacher this year as a former teacher and an additional 3 teachers that came to the room as supportive instructional personnel. No problem, and a total of almost 6 this year so far. My son's original teacher's leave was approved on November 14th, but not appropriate by staff member was hired since then. And no prompt communication was provided by the original teacher or the Strasbourg leadership. The long-term substitute was hired on December 17th and left on April 11th. The letter was sent home notifying the parents that the substitute will no longer return. The third teacher started to speak April 22nd about whom the parents were not given much information about it. Thus, I asked the question: why was the information about the teachers being sent 19 days after the Board of Education approval? Whose responsibility was that? The Strasbourg administration or the teachers herself himself? When was the job posting published and taken down specific dates? I really would like to know that if possible. How many people were interviewed for the position? And if there were no qualified candidates, why was the hiring process stopped? Why did the second teacher in place give such short notice, but not 2 weeks in advance? How normal is it to have 6 substitute teachers in one day in third grade? What district is doing about securing proper staffing without compromising student education on any grade level? In other words, my child and his peers experienced frequent changes and movements in his classroom. There were a lot of inconsistencies, changes over team, and other situations. A significant amount of partial miscommunication and lack of transparency. Lastly, also the hiring teacher was actually secured. My second concern is reference to Strasbourg administration communications and their lack of.
As mentioned before, the letters home were sent, and it appears that there is a trend or strategy to keep the parents in the dark and not allotting them any time for follow-up with any questions or concerns in specific and critical situations. Why was there no better communication between each time of administration and the parents? Building connections. Why are the important letters like your child's teacher will not be coming back, or I'm leaving on a leave, sent home 15 minutes prior to dismissal time, and the start of the spring or winter breaks? Why aren't emails responded to in a timely manner, or if at all? Who and how will the leadership of Stratton Group be held accountable in times of change and need replacement? Can there be an action plan developed to monitor processes in situations like the district-wide? How do we prevent their responsibility and disorganization of school leadership from affecting young scholars' education? The majority of class parents were specifically concerned about the issue and time the letter was sent home on April 11th at 1 p.m. at Stratton. The third issue is about school lunches. My third grade class, my son attends lunch
I'm so
at
sorry to
3.
interrupt, but you've reached the 3-minute mark.
No, I'm pretty much
Could you come back after you've heard from anybody else who wants to speak so we can hear the rest of your concerns?
that would be great. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and we're both freshmen at Seattle High School. We were just concerned over the memorial garden. We can't hear you.
Oh, so sorry.
Thank you. They're really trying to upright.
That's good.
Okay. We were just a little concerned about the memorial garden that's in front of dams. We were part of like the group that brought it to counselors' attention to get it there in the first place, and we originally brought it in 6th grade in around April. There were issues with like planning and things like that, so we didn't actually get it finished until around April 8th grade. So it was a long process, and there was a lot of planning that went into it, so it was just upsetting when on Easter, another friend who was in the group with us was on a run, and she passed the garden, and there was just like a lot of litter all over the place pretty much. So she picked it up and just let us know that it was upsetting for her. And we just wanted to see if there would be a specific group that would be able to tend to it. We know there's environmental club and things like that, but if there was like a select amount of volunteers that would want to, just put implement new ideas into it over time. Right now, there's like a rock garden, but that's pretty much it. So if there was like other ways that would just make it bring more light to the space, then we were just wondering if that could be an idea. James Collins, his mom, she was very involved in the process and was like very excited to visit it. So she said it was very exciting for her to see that it was not really being taken care of, and that she would volunteer to help out with it if everybody else could. So, and then
This topic is really exciting for most people, and it's supposed to be a comfort place for a lot of people to be able to go and just find comfort in a place at school where most people don't. And we need this, like, it took a lot of work to do this project, and we got it done. And it just, like, we go back and we just feel as it should be upkept, and it should stay, like, someone should take after it.
yeah, it was just exciting to see that. We assumed that even after we left the school, it would still be able to look the same as what we had left it. We understand that like weather will have to do with like plants and everything, so that's fine. It was just more like the trash and things like that. One other thing we were wondering if could happen is how the garbage can go is actually on it. I know they've pretty much always been there, but maybe something that could like prevent any of the trash from getting there in the future. They can just move off of the actual garden. I think they were at one point, but they're back over there. So just, I know like the kids that stand there in the mornings waiting to go in, that's definitely probably a reason that that happens anyway. So we understand things happen, we were just wanting to bring it to your attention.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you letting us know about that. So
Yeah, we have some of the pictures from the.
I'm kind of sad to hear that, and I don't live over there anymore, so I don't always pass by it. So I really appreciate you coming and bringing it to the attention of the board as well as some of the administration. So I'll let Ms. President.
Thank you for sharing that with me. And, I want to apologize that, if you could
So, yes. So, sorry, saving me a little.
Come back to you? Yeah. So after the, if you're, are you going to stay for a little while longer? Can I show you on your phone where I would like you to send an email? There's a submission form, or I can tell you the net. It's, you go to MARSD.org and then go to across the top, Board of Education, and then there should be a link there, an email link. If you could send an email through that link, we all get it, and that way we can be sure to keep it on everybody's radar, and we'll have your information, your name, your phone numbers, your emails. You probably might have to do it separately, and that way we can follow up appropriately and figure out if, you know, if it's an existing club, or if you want to start something, or what we want to do.
Okay. Like I said, a friend of ours said already picked up the trash before she had sent us papers and things like that. Not unfortunately, but she had the trash. I'm glad she did. But we don't have any like actual pictures of that, just like the plans and those stuff like that.
We trust you.
That's where I feel. So I just wanted to say, I'm totally sorry, my son is in 6th grade. When we lost the 2 students. So to me, it's really sad that this happened. So we will take care of it.
Thank you. Well, I would just like to add that, you know, thank you girls for coming tonight. Okay, I'm sure it wasn't easy, but thank you for coming because it is important. Your voices are important, okay? So if there's ever any issues, you should feel comfortable coming and talking to all of us. And if it's not addressed, please do circle back, okay? Thank you.
If there's no one else, we can hear from this meeting.
Well, thank you for allowing me to finish. When my timer started, so I apologize for not being there at once. Well, yes, the third issue was updated the lunch schedule for some of the third grade classes in Strasbourg. The classes with my son is in the third grade. They are sent lunch at 1:30 p.m. My understanding, many high school students around this county area do not have lunches break at 1:30 p.m. Once I put that question to the principal back in December to address that and work about it, basically just to feel he wasn't spontaneous this time. So I have two questions for that. Why do some children have their lunch so late in the day? Is there a rotation possible to be done among all the third grade classes in Strasbourg specifically, or next year? What can be done and how soon to restructure the lunch times for the events in Strasbourg? That will be all of my issues and concerns. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And if I spoke too fast, that's why I prepared a fancy folder for you. This will come from good intentions because it's truly as a parent and a teacher myself in education, so I'm right there with you on the front lines as well. For me, it's highly important consistency for my son, and I expressed this to also to yesterday's meeting with his parents and Dr. or Mr. Weedman, apologize. So I just also would like to take this opportunity to speak up on behalf of the entire class, or whatever the understanding levels of parents are. But I truly understand and see the impact on my son. And, you know, he does have 2 households. I'm a single parent. So for me, tackle this in making this happen tonight is extremely important. So I really would like your support and look into things as to what happens when the administration changes for whatever circumstances each and whatever people that we employ actually has. And so the children's education is not interrupted, and they deserve the quality education that you stand by your promise and mission statement as a district. And that is it for today. I don't know how you're going to come back to me with all of my questions, and they are specific, and I don't know if it's possible to receive information, specific information about that, because it is easier to find a teacher as a substitute for 7 months versus 3, for instance. And I would like to share that I used to be a long-term substitute myself in the ESS for your district, and I worked in middle school, high school, in the same building, Strasbourg. So I'm very much familiar with some of the teachers and how the district runs as well. So would like to seek your help and support of the new inspired student teacher in the position to cover this recent Tuesday. So she is supported, helped, and in any ways possible to check on each way if possible. And please help the administration out.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Heather Dalton, with the reception of Aberdeen, and I'm going to be part of the Me Too. There's things we can do and things we can't do, and I want to first thank you guys for doing the things you can, and I also want to know that there's a level of frustration as parents and community members that you guys have for the things where it's, finding out how can we do something. And I spent a little time thinking about it. My kid is on the good side, and she listens to hands. And we had often first scripture lessons up until it was no longer functional. And I grew up out in the country in upstate New York, and I rode a bike, but I don't drive my car in New York City. I really felt uncomfortable when my husband and I took the effort to ride with our child multiple times before school started to get her comfortable. And the times that we were driving was not during rush hour. I did the best to teach my child, make eye contact with the drivers. I gotta say, I'm not against sometimes the toughest lessons, if we make it through it, and I think about our own childhoods, mornings, whatever, they weren't necessarily the healthiest for us, but we grew from them. But I worry about, I guess that's the thing, get my own intelligence, he got hit by a car and that. But my child does not have an electric bike, my child does not have an electric scooter. So it's that. So often when there's something that touches us and makes us fearful, as long as you can say, oh, it's okay, it's that. A way to make it their fault so it doesn't touch us. And my child was wearing a helmet, riding a bicycle. I did not run screaming to the police. I did not run screaming to the school board. I just dealt with it. My child did as much as she could. She did wrong because she was on the sidewalk. Because I'm sorry, if you're on that section there by Philip, you got Starbucks, you got LA Fitness, you got the liquor store, you got the bagel breakfast, you got the bake shop. Oh, I wonder how those people are feeling in the morning. Okay? My child did the best she could. She made eye contact with the driver that was stopped. The driver looked at her, went like this, and then the driver saw, holy cow, in this wild traffic, which you guys, you've ever been there, know. So I'm opening. Woo! God gave this driver the opening. She took it. And my child pulled back, and the bicycle right behind her didn't, and slammed back into my child. I did have to return my child's vehicle. She had a little bit of bruising. She's okay. The other kid got shaken. She's okay. That was with the best I could do to teach my child. What about the parents that don't ride bikes at all? What about the parents that work multiple jobs? What about the parents that just work any job all along and didn't have that opportunity? So, I get it, we don't always know the right thing. And with things that used to litigious, like, at first I was angry at Mr. Van Horn about, the first thing he did was, e-bike. But then I understand, it's like, you really can't do anything. So I'm brainstorming, I'm wondering if maybe just a general education, make it optional, so that way the school's not responsible for it. With somebody that's a professional bicyclist, or a professional driver, like a car driver, and how that can translate to bicycles. So that, as parents, if we're aware that we can opt to put our child to get better education. That might not cost so much because the parents pay for it. But, the parents that care can fundraise for the parents that can't afford it.
So, I'm sorry, Julie.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Wait, not yet.
So we have some
right of traffic, like, there's just a lot of things that we need to raise awareness, and you can only, I truly believe it's through education. So they are working on that, they're even looking at, I asked them, like, well, which e-bike would you recommend for a child that's 12 years old? What's age appropriate? So 40 mile, a bike that can go 40 miles per hour, I would, that's a little scary, like, that's going faster than a scooter. And they can be doing 40 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, that's still a car. So those are the types of conversations that I did have this week. And I'm hopeful that they take it serious, and I hope that the liaisons will go back and speak to their liaisons in each town and share that, because there is a need. And they were doing a lot of awareness on bike safety. Yes, we're beyond bike safety. We're beyond that, because, how are we going to control it? So,
We try to put out information at the beginning of every school year about, the buses are back on the roads, kids are back on the roads. Did it this year. It's an awareness piece for everybody to know that everybody's in a rush in the morning to get to work, but is it really worth the rush to put the safety at risk? So it's a driver education piece as well. Can I please share about the information? So regarding the newsletter that was sent out by the municipal principal, the reason why it came out the morning of this unfortunate and thankfully it's okay, the incident is because there were e-bikes in the bike rack that were observed by that principal the day before. And there was already a planned newsletter, it's a weekly newsletter, everybody gets it every week, that was planned to go out, and it was updated with this because of the noticing that these bikes that are not allowed to be used. So it was a very ill-timed communication. It was not in response. It just happened to be, so it seemed to be that was the response. That was not in response to what happened that morning. It was just really bad timing. So it appeared that was a feeling response, and that's not the case. So I just wanted to clear that.
I just want to comment, I appreciate you guys talking about that, but I live right off Sweet Briar, I'm right there. So, I just get frustrated because we can talk about the kids and safety, but in all honesty, kids, yeah, they do silly stuff, but it's really not, it's the drivers. It is so congested, it's insane over there. I can't make a left out of my street on any given time. Yes, the kids are not great with riding on the sidewalks, I'll give them that. And I always think to myself, like, get on the sidewalk, get on the sidewalk. What I will say is that
sure the university would want to ask for that. So maybe we could package some short process. Advocate we get the town on, like town over across.
At my next meeting with the chief secretary, they were the ones that told us about
We
it.
don't have any more incidents, right? Like, we want to prevent anything else from happening.
I'm gonna let this president, which is just like,
The one on Lloyd was the county. So, they contacted, what I understand from summarizing, they contacted the town. In terms of the timeline and everything that they were controlling that. So what I looked at to see if there was something that they actually asked for. That I remember that they made that, the town may have asked the county to tell them about it.
From the county for road safety, it's traffic and road safety.
any other public comments? I'm sorry, I'll let you do the rest of the meeting and answer me.
I was just wondering if that was something that would it help, like, it was like a petition type of thing that we got started to present, if it was, like, obviously that's right now, the county is the state who it is, but once you figure that part out, is that something that maybe we can send a Google form to petition everyone, and the more people we get to sign, maybe they will do.
Well, I think it would help us, like, so that when I'm sharing concerns about the board, so that we're sharing that with the liaisons and also with the TV, so that they can kind of push this out. So I don't think, I definitely think that
If we see that there's a large, community concern, then I think that will help along the process.
There's definitely a shrink in numbers, and I feel like they always hear us complain all the time, but I feel like we speak to the community, but if the community spoke as well as us, that would be awesome. Maybe we can organize something like that and see how we can do that, for sure. Maybe that's not quite right, it's not my area yet, but I mean, we've got a whole thing with the basement books, and people that do live there, and I'm sure we need to do something.
Also, to add to it, they're bringing it in front of the council right now, because the town council meeting, which they have up there that meetings. And I go to some of them, and most of the time I see 3 or 4 people there. So, but that forum is there to have that conversation. You have the town council members, you have the town manager is there. So that's somewhat, like you said, I don't think any mention is bad mention. So not only the petition, but also going and speaking up at those meetings and putting it in front of them.
I mean, that's really, it's that part is hard, getting the people, because even after what happened the other day, and the Facebook post that was there, I commented, there's a board meeting, bring it to the board meeting, boys should be present at the board meeting, not just on Facebook, and so it's like, it's just, they're in your door. The amount of people that were on that post, this week should be packed, and it never is. So, well, thank you for everything you said there.
Next town council meetings.
Find out.
Thank you very much. We will now do a roll call vote on the agenda items. Mrs. Scully?
Yes.
Ms. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Moderna?
Yes.
Mr. Montano?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Yes. And do we have any new or unfinished business?
Okay, so you are finally, for the audience's benefit, in January, I was named as the delegate for the Delegate Assembly, something that we haven't had before. So the New Jersey School Board Association Delegate Assembly is happening May 10th. And I told everybody that I'd come with the resolutions that are on the table. There's only 3, so this won't take long. But I would love to hear from the board on how they think, how we all think that I would vote on these on the 10th. So the first one is a resolution from Woodbury Board of Education. And what they're proposing is that all of this would change with the additions to the School Board Association policies. So that one, so there's that one, varsity letters for esports, and just general treatment like that. Yeah, it's like, yay, I think we already did this. I'm under the impression, I don't know for sure, do we do varsity letters?
Free sports.
Yes, I thought so, okay, all right, so that's easy. All right, the second one is from Franklin Township Board of Education. They want to make a position at NJSBA that the state take necessary and appropriate steps to address the school nursing shortage and increase the number of candidates who are eligible for school nurse and non-instructional endorsements by, they had suggestions of specific ways to lower the additional credit hours in addition to being a nurse. And so that's really what the proposal is about, is to essentially remove some of the requirements to be a school nurse and to make more people eligible to be a school nurse. They still have to be a nurse, but there's a, I'm sorry, I should probably share that in addition to being a nurse, there's a minimum of 15 semester hour credits specifically for being a school nurse. I have to,
Or medical professional, if it's really confused.
yeah.
I guess I just would love to hear the specifics of how you're changing the requirements, because, I mean, I'm not a school nurse, however, I think you have to hold the active arm, and I think that many plus or minus school nurse certification. So what's, and to add on to that, right, so we're seeing what our nurse came from being a trauma nurse and seeing how different her role is, and her feeling like this is even harder than what she did as a trauma nurse. It concerns me to lower the regulation.
So what they are recommending is, well, maybe I should get back to you next time, but that'd be fair. No, that's
Just
fine,
giving
but-
feedback.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's another meeting before this, so I will send this to you, because this is a breakdown of exactly what Franklin was proposing. So that one, okay. And then the third one is Kansas City Board of Education proposing new language to, and this would be a request to the state, because it would be adding to the state excused absences for students who miss class to complete steps necessary to enter skilled trades or union. So right now, there's excused absences for immediate family, funeral, and college visits, and take your kid to work day, and then this would add an additional one for skilled trades and unions that are pursuing. And veterans, yes, yes. But, so this would add, not that they could miss school to go just work, but like that they would miss school to take specific tests if they were being home during school.
So just to recap, these are what's up for suggestion, recommendation to the New Jersey School Board Association on behalf of the delegates that represent all the districts that appear there. So really, Ms. Pell is just trying to kind of get our temperature and a pulse check from us so she can represent what our feelings are. So I think she give us more information about the nurse one, and then in general, maybe if you could send us an email, yes, and we could just let you know, because, I think maybe the nurse one might be the most information for sure. Then we can kind of give you a check of how you feel, and I don't know that you need a official, census or anything like that. You can just kind of, that's where, I mean, again, it's kind of like this recommendation role, so it's not necessarily a binding thing, so I think we'll be okay with what your conclusions are after looking into it, getting some more feedback.
I appreciate the feedback for sure. So that's part of my motivation to ask the group, is that I know that we have a nurse on the board and we have a teacher on the board, and both of you are experiencing that different aspects of their role.
Nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner, yes, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
Okay, any new business?
Just going to follow up, May 1st is the next town council meeting.
a closed session be convened for the purpose of discussing privacy, personal matters, and legal services. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. Although the board cannot guarantee it, the length of the executive session is estimated to be 1 hour, after which a public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business. No action will take place. Can I have a motion and a second to enter executive session?
I'll second.